Hello friends, welcome back again. So in this tutorial we talk about the classes and the objects, which is the essential part of object oriented programming. So what is a classes? So classes is just a blueprint for the object. Okay, so if we want to define the real world entity, so we use the classes, and to fetch the data of that particular entity, just like its member data or member function, we define the objects. Object is nothing, it's just an instance of class, or we can say that it is just a representation of the class. It represent the class, represent the class data. Okay, so classes is just a user defined data type in which we can declare member data and the member function. You can see on your screen I wrote the all nodes that you can take the snapshot, that it's help you to understand what is a classes and what is the function of classes. Okay, so I told you the structure is not able to fulfill the programming need, so we will come with the classes and the object in the C++, that is extended version of C or better version of C, so that we can achieve some other things like that. We can do the object oriented programming. We should not do the procedural programming, which is the first approach in the C++. So what happened when we came with the C++? So we can control over our data, that which part of data should be accessible outside the class and which is not. If you want to access, so which methods is defined, just like inheritance we can access the data of class, but in another way it is not be accessible. Okay, so you can mention that which part is accessible and which is not, which is done by with the help of access modifier, or we can say the access specifier. Okay, if we declare private in front of our data types, or we say our members, so it is, or it will be used within the class, so we can't access outside the class. So it means this is a personal property of the class, so you can't access it outside the classes. Okay, so protected is used for that yours just child classes can inherit or access the members data, which is protected, not private. Private is just accessible within the class or within the class members, but it is not outside the class. If you declare something, if you declare your data types is protected or your class is protected, you can access those things. Okay, and this public is accessible by anyone outside the class, within the class, so it is public, so everyone can access the data. So this is totally depend upon you, that which things you want that would be accessible or which would be not accessible outside the class. Okay, so we will discuss this access modifier in the later class when we will done inheritance, but this is the first tutorial that how we have to use classes in the object and how we can have to access the classes member data and member function with the help of object. So we will do this right now. Okay, so we will later on discuss about the access modifier. The first thing is encapsulation and data hiding. Okay, so I will tell you encapsulation means wrapping the data types or variables and functions within the single unit. So it is done with the help of classes. Okay, so this is the first features that the object oriented programming will offer us, that it will make the package so that we can define our data and function within it. So it also provides the data hiding that I also mentioned here with the help of access modifier. So I hope you will understand what is a classes, what is a object, what is the access modifier, what is mean by encapsulation and data hiding. Okay, let's move on the next page so we can see our syntax of our classes. Okay, so this is the second page. So here we can see the syntax of a class. So first you have to write the class. Okay, you have to write the class. This is a predefined word class, and then you can give the name class name, whatever the name you want to give. Then you have to define the member data. So if you use public protected in front of earlier then you are able, first you have to define your access modifier, then you can define the data types. So if you want that it will be protected or public, you can define it. If you want, if you are unable to define here, so it would be the private. So by default it is private. Okay, again same with the function and function name. Then you have to declare the function body, and this is the class body, and closing here with the terminate sign, semicolon. Then we have a int, then we declare the class, use the class name, and we create the object. I told you object is a representation of class, instance of class, so that we can able to access the class. So it is just a member. With the help of we can access the class members. Okay, member functions. So if you want to access the class member functions, you have to use object name, then dot operator is access operator, so then you have to use the function name, and this is all. Maybe this makes you a little bit confused, but when we will come on our ID, it will definitely will able to help you that what is the classes and what is the object. Okay, it make your code very beautiful rather than if you do the procedural programming. Okay, let's move on our IDE. So here we are in our IDE. So here we have to write the code. So always we have to declare a class outside the main. So here we have to define our class here like that. First you have to use the keyword class. Whenever you want to define or declare your class or create your class, you use first class, just like structure. Okay, then you can give the class name. So right now I want to do the sum of two variables, so I use class sum. Okay, so this is my class body. So I want to define the variables here. So by default I want to use in private. Okay, so if here I am not declaring public, protected or private. If you're not able to mention here, so it by default would be private. So int a comma b comma c. So this is the three variables. Here I use public. So this is the keyword public, or this is the access modifier, which helps to that these things or this method would be the public and it would be the accessible outside the class, so anyone can access it. Okay, object can access it, but another class or another object it would access or not. Okay, so we use here void. My function name is input. I use input here. Okay, so here I use cout. Cout, then cout, and then I write the message here. Enter the two values one by one. So I use new line here, or you use end line here, it's your choice. Then use scene. So this is the input operator. So I already discussed about that, what is our input operator and what is output operator. So less than sign shows the output operator, and the greater than sign shows you the input operator. So here is a, so took the value from the keyboard and put it inside the variable a, or memory, inside the memory a. Okay, variable is just nothing, it's just a memory space. So then b. So this is the method. Here I just do the input or as well as the processing. So I can do the processing here. C equal to a plus b. I want to make it very simple, so this is the first program using the class, so I wanted it would be able to understand well. Okay, then you use public, or you can there is no need to use public because you already defined in front of the input. If you want to use protected or private, then you can use, but already use public here. So this program, this function is also public, so this function name is output. Okay, so I just display here cout addition of A and B is so C. So addition of A, so I want to display the value of A, then B value, and we can calculate, okay, this is right or not. So we will able to understand what is A value, what is B value, and what is the sum. Okay, you can do some another way. Okay, so first of all, I just want to repeat all the things. So we declare our class here with class name, we close the class here like this, we declare our variables. This is understood that we are not declare public or use any access modifier, so by default this would be the private, it just used within the class. Okay, so within the class members they can access these variables. Outside the class we are not able to access it, or another class will not access it. Okay, so then we define our input. So here we took the input from the keyboard and we will display it. So one thing is missing, that we have to create the object in the void main. Okay, so to create the object we use class name. So our class name is sum. So I use variable s1. You can use t1, t2, whatever you want, or just s. So this is your choice. I use s1. Okay, so s1, so we have to access first input. So you know this is the object and this is the accessibility. It can access two methods here, input and output. I just show you that object is just nothing, it's just the representation of class. So it represents the class data, you can see here. So first we want to input, because we want to input, then we put the value in A and B so that we can get the sum. So after the processing we want to call the output. So s1 dot output. So this way the object oriented programming happens. I hope you understand this. So let's run this program and find out what is the result. You can see the result here. We don't have a program, so it display a first line. Okay, enter the two variable one by one. So my first variable is 12, another is 24. The addition of 12 and 24 is 36. It is very close up. I want that space, okay, of, and then 24 there is no space, so we will add the blank space. It can happen if you want to add the blank space. So you can use this for blank space. Okay, here I also want to add this blank space, so add the space here. Okay, we can do the simple method. Just I want to show you that how we can make the output more interesting or display good. You're just writing a code and is very congested, so we are not able to identify which is 12 and 24. Okay, we write the code, we are able to understand, but if you writing the code for someone else, so it should be good, your output should be good. So here enter the two value one by one. So one is 12, another is 36. The addition of 12 and 36 is 48. So how many number of blank space you want to add, you just add it in the similar way. Just I added it. Okay, so we can add the space here like this. It can be done. Okay, I hope you understand that how you can run the code with the help of classes, and this is the first code that how you can run with the class, or how you can use the class within the program in the object oriented. So this is the first program, maybe you are able to understand. Okay, so if you want to take the snapshot, you can take the snapshot here. So thanks for watching this.